Hey there, today's video is on 10 tips to picking a Salt Lake City neighborhood. Don't make the wrong choice, and let's get after it. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Greg Speckman. I'm with the Living in Salt Lake City channel. So if you're looking to learn everything about what it's like to live here, eat here, sleep here, play here in the Salt Lake City area, then click the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I do new videos. Lately, I've been getting a ton of people that are reaching out, calling me, texting me, emailing me. I absolutely love it about making that move here to Salt Lake City, Utah. So if that's you, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. So make sure that you stick around for tip number 1, as it's the most important one of all of these tips. Tip number 10 is going to be your location. So make sure that you choose the right city. How do you choose the right city? Well, that's one of the things that we talk about. Is being close to the airport important to you? Do you want to be a 15 to 20 minute drive? Or are you okay with a 45-minute drive? Those are some of the things that we're going to talk about. Is public transportation important? Well, in the Salt Lake City area, we have the TRAX and the Front Runner train. So you can take the TRAX system to get all over Salt Lake City. It's awesome. So is that important to you? Do you want to live in Utah County, Salt Lake County, Davis County, or some other county? Well, we will talk about the different pros and cons of each of the different counties, where you're going to be wanting to live, and all of that is based on location. Tip number 9 is your proximity to work and fun things to do. Do you like to hike? Do you like to fish? Some cities even have a local stock pond for you to fish at. So we live in Harriman currently. We have the Harriman Pond that's about a 5-minute drive away from us, where I can go and catch trout right now. Summer months, we can catch catfish in it. And then they also have wiper that they stock as well. So those are the 3 main fish that they kind of stock at most of the ponds. But there are other ponds in Sandy. There's ones in Draper. There's ones in Riverton, Kaysville. A bunch of different cities have their own local stock pond. So if that's something for you to go do, it's something super cool. You just need a fishing license and then you can go do that. But do you want to be that? Do you want to be close to being able to mountain bike, to camp, to do anything to do with the outdoors? Or are you okay with a 45-minute drive to those locations? Well, that's something that's important to figure out what proximity you want to be from, those things. And then as well as where you plan to be working. If you're retired, then working isn't going to be an issue. It's just going to be, do you have family in the area? Do you want to be close to them? Do you want to be a little bit further away? Like for us, we have family that's about a 15-minute drive in West Jordan from us. So that's awesome, because if I call them up and say, hey, come over for dinner, it's not a big deal for them to come. Where if they live somewhere further away, then it would be, if it was a 45-minute drive for them to come visit, then they really have to want to come over and eat or hang out with us, since it's a 45-minute drive here and then a 45-minute drive there, plus the time they spend. And all of a sudden it's a 4-hour ordeal just to come over for dinner. So that's something that you want to consider as well. Tip number 8 is lifestyle. So do you want to be able to walk to coffee shops, to bars, to pubs, to Whole Foods? Do you want to be close to the grocery store? We have 3 major grocery store chains here that are the most popular, which are Smith's, which is Kroger brand. You have Harmon's, which is sort of like a Publix, but not with the same level of customer service, I feel. And then you have Walmart and Walmart Grocer. Those are like our 3 major grocery store chains here. There are other ones like Lee's and some other ones that are around. We even have a Lucky's here that you can go to in West Jordan, but they're not as common as those 3 ones. So those are going to be your go-tos. And we go to all 3 of those. We even have a Winco, and I think there's more than one here, but the Winco that we have in Harriman, we will go to for certain things. Other things we won't, but just you need to figure out what your lifestyle is like so that we put you in the right area, or at least having you look in the right neighborhoods based on your lifestyle. Tip number 7 is your budget. So how much are you going to be spending? How much do you want to spend? Do you need a 3, 4, 5, 10-bedroom house? Do you want to live close to the mountains, further away from the mountains? Do you want to? So when you reach out to us, we will put you in contact with an excellent local lender here who can discuss what your monthly payment's going to be like so that you know how much money that you need for your down payment so that we put you in the right budget, which then leads us to looking at the right homes, because if we are not looking at the right homes, then you're going to see homes that you really, really like, and then they're not in the budget that you want to be able to spend in. And with interest rates being what they are right now, it changes a lot of different things as far as that goes. If you are paying cash, then really none of that really matters as far as the local lender goes, other than there are options if you wanted to take a smaller loan or something and use most of your cash, that sort of thing. But you'll know what your budget is if you're spending cash as well. The budget part is so that we put you in the right area as far as where you're going to be budgeting. So we don't look at homes in a certain city or certain areas that aren't going to be what you're looking for. Tip number 6, and this is something that's really important, and it's even more so, I feel, here in Utah than it was elsewhere. So do you want to live in a neighborhood with an HOA? Well, there's pros and cons to living with an HOA. Without an HOA, then you'll have people that park their boats and RVs in the driveway, and a lot of the people you find here are going to have some sort of RV or boat access, like to their home, where it's very, very popular to have like a side paved area that's on the side of the home so they can park one of those two things there. Otherwise, you're paying a monthly storage fee to store it somewhere. And, if you live in an HOA, then you're going to have to store it somewhere else. For instance, Daybreak in South Jordan, an awesome place to call home if you are into the HOA and everything that it has to offer. I do have videos on Daybreak that you can check out, but it's amazing. So you just have to be, I guess that's one of the things that we would talk about is an HOA, and do you want to live with one or not, so that we don't look at homes that say have an HOA when you don't want to have one. Tip number 5 is to make sure that you pick an area where what future developments are going to be there, what road construction is going to be done, what new places are going to be built to eat and shop and all of that. And you may not be thinking, well, hey, if I move here and then they're going to build a new road here, that I have to deal with all of that. And while that's awesome, some people find out later or wish they'd, asked about what sort of future developments are going to be happening in this area. For instance, there's an area in Harriman where I helped some awesome people move to. And at the end of that road, that's going to connect to another road. And once that road is done, it's going to make their life much, much easier. Haven't got a timeline as far as when that road will be done. Maybe, in the next year or so, maybe they'll connect that road. But once that road is in place, that'll speed everything up as far as where they live. But that's just one example of things. There are other places where they're building things, where they're putting in homes. Heck, where I live over by Mountain Ridge High School, the Edge Homes has built all these townhomes. Well, when we first moved here, the homes weren't built. It was just 2 farms. And so the view of the mountains was amazing. Well, now they built these townhomes, which are awesome for people to live in, but it took away the view. And so it makes the drive not as cool as it once was. Now, where we live, our view is amazing out the front door and then out the upstairs windows that you can see out. It's just awesome. But that's something that you need to consider, is what other new things potentially could they build there. Now, I can't be for sure that what they're going to build and not build if it's empty land, but I can give you some sort of an idea. I know that when we were looking at a home to purchase in Harriman, it was up by this Redemption Bar and Grill thing, and the home backed those. Well, right now it backs this big dirt area, so I was able to actually find out who owned the dirt, and then I called them up on the phone. They were really surprised to hear from me, I guess, but I asked when they planned to develop that so that we had an idea. We didn't end up buying that home for a different reason, but I wanted to know what was going to go on behind me, because I didn't want it to be something else, like who wants to live behind a bar necessarily if you have the option not to. So just different things like that is stuff that we help you with here so that you get put in the right place and that you aren't surprised necessarily later about different things happening. Tip number 4 is the crime rate. And so when we relocated here, it was something we did a little bit of research on. We found that crime wasn't really an issue in the cities that we were moving to, other than like car theft or theft in general seems to be a big thing here. And that's, I think, mainly due to people thinking that stuff isn't going to get stolen. But if you leave like your bike lane in the front yard, it'll grow legs and walk away, that sort of thing. So while I'm not allowed to steer you in any way as far as crime goes or schooling or anything like that, I can give you some tips on some different places online for you to look that out. And, if you ask me what my opinion was, I might be able to give that to you as well. Tip number 3 are going to be your schools. Are they important to you? Do you have children in school? Are you going to be going to college? That sort of thing. Do you need to have the need for a college? Do you have need for good schools? Do you care about that at all? When we moved here, we looked up the schools and found that the schools here are really, really good in Utah. Actually, they seem like they're better schools than what we dealt with in the Nashville area. And for sure, they're 10 times better than the crappy schools that we had in California. So schools are really, really good here. For the most part, they're going to have different ratings. And a lot of the lower ratings that you see on the schools are not due to the things that are really important. They're due to like some other rating that pulls the schools down. I think it's due to diversity, pulls the school ratings down, even though they don't really have a choice of diversity because you can't control who moves into the school districts necessarily. So the schools overall are going to be really, really good. And you can look those up on like Great Schools or School Digger if that's important, or we can talk about it as well. Tip number 2 is your neighborhood amenities. So do you want a neighborhood that has a park or a pool, or it's close to a Starbucks? Or do they handle snow plowing? Do you have to plow the sidewalks? Do they plow the streets in the wintertime? That you need to know some of those things, and you can ask what sorts of amenities do I really want. For instance, they will come where we are and we pay the HOA, and then they handle all the plowing of our driveways and everything, which is awesome. So really, I just do a little bit of salting. They come by and salt as well, but I keep it more salted just so that we don't slip and fall because it is necessary here. Salt is your friend. But you need to know what sort of neighborhood amenities you may like. Like, for instance, the pool is really, really popular here during the summertime. So once it hits, I don't know, mid-May or so, and then they're open until mid-September in that range. Depends on the HOAs. Or if you have your own pool, then you don't have to worry about that part. You just have to worry about winterizing your pool or winterizing your hoses and yards and everything else that goes along with wintertime here. You need to know about the neighborhood amenities. And that leads us to tip number 1, which is the most important tip of all of the tips. And that's that you got to reach out to us. You got to give us a call. You got to shoot us a text or send us an email. We need to hear from you if you're making that move here to Salt Lake City, Utah. We'd love to talk more about it with you, help you find the right location, all of that. You just got to give us a call. So until next time, be rad.